Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about Pokemon cracking down on stores and shops breaking street dates, selling league products. We'll talk about that, a little bit of a note that was sent out to Pokemon leagues this week. We'll, of course, chat about the results from the Stuttgart Regional Championships this past weekend over in Germany, the decks that won, the decks that did well, the decks that disappointed. We'll, of course, have Guess That Flavor Text, everyone's favorite segment of the cast. And then we'll wrap up this week's episode by talking about the upcoming San Antonio Regional Championships this coming weekend, the largest regionals of all time. Gonna be a wild one. Everything is bigger in Texas, so they say. We'll find out for sure this weekend. And then, of course, we will have our weekly bonus episode over on our Patreon for all our Patreon supporters. So if you want to get a little bit of extra content from myself and Azul every single week, the place to do it is over on that Patreon. Check it out. 30 minutes every single week. The website is in the description, as always, patreon.com/uncommon energy podcast. My name is Chip Ritchie, joined here as always by my friend and co-host Azul GG. What's up, Azul? How we doing, man? How's your week? You are muted. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
2 weeks in a row of that
Well, I
exact
was
thing
I
happening, by
was
the way.
I was opening a soda, so I muted
Oh, so
while I
proud of
opened my
you.
soda, but then I don't think my mic would have picked it up, to be honest, but I was just like, "Alright, just in case."
Better safe than
You know,
sorry.
I don't want you to, like you'd be like, "Azul," if you heard it, you'd be like, and then you have to redo the intro. So I, like, muted, and then, yeah, I forgot to click the unmute. But yeah, this week was pretty good. Um, I know I've mentioned this to you before, but I'm, like, a big fan of esports in general.
Mhm.
So the Call of Duty esports started up again this week, so I was, glued to my monitor with that, this week, or glued to my computer watching that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of esports in general, and Call of Duty's, like, been my main esport for a while. It used to be League of Legends a while back, but once I kind of understood how bad North America was at League of Legends, I kind of
You had
stopped
no one to cheer
caring.
for anymore.
Well, I mean, I just like watching, like, I don't really have, like, a favorite team, and, like, even, like, in sports and stuff. I just like watching competition. I'm a big fan of, I mentioned this before, but, like, the NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs, huge fan of watching those. Not regular season stuff, there's so little on the line, it's hard to watch it. Football's, like, the only difference there, where it's like every game does have a pretty big impact.
Sure.
Um, and then big fan of esports as well, just competition, right? Like Counter-Strike and Call of Duty, I guess, have been, like, my go-to esports recently, and that started up again. The Call of Duty League started up again this week, so I watched that over the weekend. I was loving that. Got registered for Knoxville as well. I was sweating a little bit, living the life of a European
You were one of the
for a
lucky
day.
ones, huh? You got
Yeah, I guess
registered?
because it went by. Well, it's still that weird lottery system, so I think it was, like, stretched over, like, 45 minutes, because it's like there's that weird, like, 30 minutes where it feels like you can register within the first 30 minutes, and then 15 minutes after that, after people get bumped out from going to the pay window and then not paying in the, like, you get, like, like, once you, like, get through the first part of registration, you go to the window or the page where you pay, and your slot is held for 15 minutes once you get there. So then you can always check, like, 15 minutes after registration has started, and you could still
Yeah, see
possibly
if
get
someone
in.
didn't pay.
Yeah, so I don't know how long it was open for, but even if it's open for, like, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, it's because of, like, the weird lottery system that they have going on. So it truly would be gone in seconds
Yeah.
if their system they have in place wasn't actually in place. And it went fast as far as I know. I got in, though, like, instantly, so I wasn't really sweating, to be honest. And, I'm actually curious. I mean, it filled up. There's 1,200, right? I was gonna see how many people there were, but yeah, we know it was 1,200. Yeah, so that filled up pretty much instantly, I think, probably for all divisions, I would imagine. And, we might still, they haven't said anything yet about, like, a second wave, have they?
They have not that I've seen at least, so I don't think there is, and
I don't expect
yeah,
there to be, because I
it's
think if they
definitely
had,
and like I said last week, I mean, we talked about this was one of our topics last week on the podcast, but, like, this is just, this has to not be, like, the organizer's fault, right? Because, like, they definitely would well, I don't know if I should go that far, but, like,
they
this is
would
the venue
want
that they have
to.
booked, like, this is the constraints of the venue, I'm sure. They would love to
Yeah.
sell more seats. It's the same organizer that's putting on this 2,000 person regionals in Texas. If they had the space, they would love to fill it, so
Yeah, I'm sure they would love to fill it. I think it is, like, yeah, like I said, I think this is, like, a big one where I feel like, we can't just, like, complain and, like, about every little thing that happens. There has to be, like, some understanding from us as well. It's like anything that goes wrong with the Pokemon TCG is not worth, like, losing our minds over. And this is, like, one of those things I think we definitely give the benefit of the doubt here and be like, I'm sure they would want more space. And there probably won't be a second wave because they know 1,200 is too low for the
yeah.
demand. So if they could have given up more seats instantly, or maybe that's something they're working on. Like, maybe they wanted registration just to go up. I think they've been aiming for that, like, 2 months before the event for registrations to go up. That's a little bit RK9 tweeted out before, like the second or third North American regional registration went up. They're
Yeah.
aim for those 8 weeks. So maybe they just want to get this up in that like time frame, and then from there maybe they are going to try and put some more seats together and try and do a second or third wave. So I will have to wait and see. So yeah, if you didn't get to Knoxville, I think you should definitely like, yeah, be on the lookout for that second or third
Mhm.
wave. That comes up a lot with majority of major events. It feels like these days there's almost always another wave of registration.
Azul, I just noticed your sign that you have in the background. You change
Oh
it
yeah.
every month or so, I feel like. I just noticed. Lost Tina BDIF. What's up with that the messaging there?
Hey man, as long as Alberto's gonna play Lost Tina, it's the BDIF. That's my
And speaking of which, we'll talk about that a little bit when we get to Stuttgart. But yeah,
yeah.
my week was pretty normal, nothing crazy going on. I actually watched some Call of Duty tournaments this weekend, but it was not CDL that Azul was watching. I was actually watching a Warzone tournament that was happening yesterday. That was pretty interesting because they just did 5 games, and the winner of each game got 20K. And it was not kills based or anything like that. So it was just literally based on if you won the game, you got 20K. And it was like all pros in the lobby and stuff too. It was pretty
Was
wild.
it
One guy
was it
won 2
solos?
games. It was crazy.
It was like solos then, right?
Yeah, it was solos.
Yeah. That's gotta be like I've like watched some battle royale tournaments before in the past, and it's like it's always really campy if it's based on like if you
Just
get too many,
winning.
yeah, winning, or like if you get top 8, you get so many points. Like when they're usually more entertaining to watch when it's like the points are based on kills. Like higher, you get a lot more points for kills. That's when
Yeah,
it
I
gets
mean, I
more
like
entertaining.
the mix of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you get some points for kills and then also some points for placement. Because at the end of the day, it's a battle royale. Like the goal is to be the last person standing. Like that's the goal of the game mode, right? So it's
True,
like
true.
there should be some incentive there to try to survive, but you know, there can be 2 strategies going into it, right? Where you're just slaying out, getting all the eliminations or, uh, trying to just
Or
play for the placement points,
yeah,
but
being a little ratty, hiding in a bush or something, and
that's what it was really funny watching these, because it's all these sweaty Call of Duty streamers who, like, run around public lobbies all day, getting 25, 30 kills in a game, but then they're just, like, posted up in a building, chilling in a corner for 5 minutes, and then they go rotate into zone, and they're all running smoke grenades and throwing smoke grenades at the ground to rotate in and stuff like that. It was pretty
super ratty
wild.
gameplay.
Yeah. But yeah, with that being said, we can get into our first topic this week. And this is something that came across my Twitter feed this week. Um, and it's a note that went out from Pokemon to, I assume, game stores. I don't know if this went to all game stores, just some game stores. But it does just sound like, in general, I mean, the first line of it, we'll get into like all the details of it. But this first line of it just says, "Hello, we're reaching out on behalf of Play Pokemon to update you on the following changes to our street date break and misuse of league materials policies." So if you don't know what a street date is, it's pretty much just like the day that stores and shops are able to sell products that they receive from the manufacturer. And the date is usually set by the manufacturer. Like they are not able to sell things before a certain date, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is a update that was sent out. I guess you want me to just go through and read it.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. I thought that's where you're going with it, so I was like we had that like
We have decided to issue the following informational message to all leagues with an understanding that, and this is bolded, moving forward, violations of our policies can result in penalties up to and including the removal of a Pokemon League from your store or a suspension from all play Pokemon programs. So, pretty steep penalty here, right? If
yeah.
stores are unable to abide by this, they risk losing pretty much everything they have to do with Pokemon.
Yeah, and I think that's probably something that's been in the place before. They probably just never acted on it, but now they're making it clear. It's like, okay, this is the last warning we're gonna give you, or the only warning we're gonna give you.
Yeah.
Um, better abide by it now.
Yeah, these
Um,
things have definitely existed for sure. I mean, but
yeah,
it is
yeah,
interesting
yeah.
because that first line does say, it's update to the following changes. So there are like some changes here, I
Oh, okay,
imagine,
okay.
in some regard. But yeah, like, you've never been allowed to break street date because stores get their hands on these products, usually a few days early, a week early, sometimes, depending on certain things, how much you order and stuff like that. But yeah, so in regards to street date breaks, include but are not limited to selling, opening, or distribution of Pokemon TCG products before the listed date of sale. Examples include Elite Trainer boxes, Build and Battle boxes, and booster boxes. This date of sale is provided by official announcement from Play Pokemon, as well as being indicated by our resellers when purchasing products. So when you're getting stuff from distributors. It is considered a misuse of materials to break street date, and it gives an unfair advantage to stores willing to break our policies, which we consider disrespectful to Pokemon's values and spirit of the game.
Yeah. So, um, I guess I don't know. It feels like it's like these kind of things with me. It's like I guess I'm not in the seller's shoes, but I'm someone personally who's like, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes when it's like obvious. Like, there's like those sayings like rules are made to be broken and ask for forgiveness, not permission. I'm someone who's just like, if it's pretty obvious that you're not supposed to do something, just don't do it and just figure out the best way you can take advantage of like, operating within the rules or whatever. But it seems like Pokemon is getting fed up with people people going outside of that a little bit too consistently. And I mean, it's weird because it sounds like this is specifically going after like leagues, right? They're not even like going after they're not saying we're not going to give you product anymore as a store, but we're going to shut down your Pokemon league. So it's
Yeah,
like
if you're not able to.
yeah, but it almost from what I can understand though, it sounds like they would like still send you product though to sell. They're not gonna try to completely remove you as, like, a business partner, but they're just, like they're gonna try and start to take something away from you, I
That is
guess. Am I
interesting.
getting
I feel
that
like that would be something that should be in that first line is like the inability to purchase products moving forward.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like they understand that they can't afford to lose everyone who's doing this, but it's like, you're not gonna get to take the full advantage of being, like, a Pokemon partner, you know?
Yeah, and maybe
Um,
that is what they would do, and it's just not written here. I'm not sure, but
yeah, or maybe that's like maybe this is just well,
I mean, because when you buy
okay,
stuff from
maybe
the
it's
distributor, you have to agree as well with the distributor that you're going to abide by the street date. So, like, if your distributor finds out that you're breaking street date, they probably wouldn't sell to you anymore as well. Like, that might be a separate thing there. I don't know exactly how the whole like relationship system there works.
yeah, honestly, I don't know
Distribute, like, card shop to distributor, distributor to TPCI.
I almost feel like the distributor like, I feel like Pokemon would care if the distributors aren't keeping the people they sell their stuff to in line, but if Pokemon never hears about it, I would assume, like, most distributors probably don't care. It's like, if it gets back to Pokemon and Pokemon's like, "Hey, we heard people who are buying from you are opening stuff a little bit early," you have to handle that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and then the distributor probably like, "Alright, we'll go handle it. We'll make sure they don't do that anymore, or we'll stop selling to them because they don't wanna get in trouble with Pokemon, right? Every distributor wants to sell Pokemon cards, right? They want Pokemon cards so they can sell to stores and stuff. It's a pretty big market, so they're not trying to lose that. But yeah, I honestly don't even know how much like the distributors care overall if it's happening, unless Pokemon finds out about it.
I also wonder with this too, because one of the lines in here specifically says something about opening products before street dates. Now, a lot of stores get their product a few days in advance, and a lot of the big, online retailers that sell a lot of singles will get their product in and then open up that product when they get it in so that they can get the singles ready to be sold for pre-orders that they've done. None of this that they're talking about here is going to limit pre-ordering or anything like that, I would imagine. But the interesting thing is that it does say they don't want you to open products. Now, I wonder if that's just in regards to like opening publicly, like some people in the past have like streamed like Darium's always did really big early streams of opening
Yeah.
their products and stuff like that when they were opening stuff for singles on their website.
Yeah, I would have to assume that's only means like publicizing the opening of products, not 'cause you gotta they gotta open their booster boxes to get the singles to sell the singles. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot of booster boxes they gotta
Or if they
open.
have to
They
wait
don't
until
want to do
release
it.
day, they're
Yeah,
just
they're
gonna
not trying
be
to also,
so
like,
far
one of those
behind.
things that's one of those things where, like, if that is what they don't want you to do, like, stores are gonna do it anyways, and they're never gonna figure
Yeah.
so it's like but I doubt they care about that. I would 100% doubt they care about that. They probably care about you taking pictures, videos, um, stuff like, stuff like that would be my assumption. They just yeah, they don't want it publicized, but you could probably open the product ahead of time and then get ready to sell your singles because that would be a pretty big hit time-wise to, like, stores. I guess they can still put it up for pre-order, but you just don't know how much you have of everything when you, like, send them you put stuff
Yeah.
live, I guess. I don't know.
And
Just
then
get ahead of it.
And this other point here is about the misuse of league materials, and this is probably more so, like, why it's related to Pokemon leagues specifically
Yeah.
because,
This is, like, the bigger deal,
there are
I
a lot
feel
of
like,
card shops
overall.
that sell Pokemon products, but not every card shop has a Pokemon league, and if you have a Pokemon league, you're often sent product for free to give to the participants of your league, whether that be promo cards, the prize packs, those type of things. So yeah, misuse of league materials includes, but is not limited to, selling play Pokemon prize packs, selling league stamped promos, prize pack singles, or staff promos, regardless of source, selling free promotional material provided by Play Pokemon for league participation, selling pre release build and battle boxes before the listed date for sale, or using pre release kits for anything other than in store events for attending players. You are allowed to sell leftover pre release product only after the release date, or if you are in a territory for early sale of products. Failure to adhere to these rules might result in loss of pre release eligibility. League materials are distributed to provide a fun, exciting environment for those in your community who want to participate in Pokemon events. We consider the misuse of league materials a violation of the trust we want to provide in our community.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think I had heard quite a bit about, like, leagues not having the prize packs and stuff like that. Um, it was, like, the biggest one that I, like, ever heard, people talk about. The pre-release stuff, I've never, like, heard too much about that, but I guess, like, the biggest thing in here, wait, maybe I, like, missed it, but the biggest thing here is, like, the not being able to sell league stamped promos, right?
Yeah, that is kind of the
Um,
most interesting thing to stand out to me here. Now, obviously, I don't think stores should take Like, I don't think stores should sell prize packs, right? Because they get given them from Pokemon. Those
yeah,
are meant to be given to their players in their league and stuff. But let's
yeah.
say little Timmy opens up his prize pack and then pulls a, Radiant Charizard with the league stamp on it. It's worth a couple $100. He
Is
wants
it
to go
really?
sell it to the store. Yep. He wants to go sell it to the store so he can buy singles to build his deck. This is outline says, regardless of how you source these cards, the Pokemon does not want you to sell stamped promos, which I also do understand from their point of view as well, because it becomes a big game of, like, he said, she said, like, you don't know where these things necessarily came from. There's always the opportunity for
Yeah.
someone to try to abuse this if you allow the sale of it at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, they would always, like, I don't know, there's, like, another workaround, right? Is they go to eBay with an account that's not under their store's name, and they sell it on
Yeah, of
eBay or whatever,
course.
right? So
And
there's always
people
a
will do
workaround.
that.
Yeah. I mean, that just feels really weird to me because, yeah, like, what if little Timmy wants to sell the car? And the thing is, actually, I assume this is part of it. I assume you're not allowed to the stores aren't allowed to buy the cards either, but they don't say anything about buying the cards, just selling the cards.
Yeah,
So can
there's
they
nothing
buy it?
against buying the cards.
So they can buy it from little Timmy, they just can't sell it back
Yeah.
to Big Timmy. Okay,
They
yeah.
could
I
buy
mean,
it and then use it for your league in some other way if you wanted to.
yeah. I guess that's maybe I don't know, it just feels weird because I feel like those league promo cards are a big thing that would be in circulation of, like, a local game store's economy to
Yep.
be able to utilize as something to provide value or to provide, it's like a big card that they can buy from people who open the packs and then sell and make a profit, right? And not like a malicious way. It's just like, the card's worth $20. They buy from Timmy for 10 or $15. They resell it for the 20, whatever. Um, that seems like and it's like all in that, like, kind of more competitive Pokemon TCG ecosystem. So kind of like they get the prize packs, they open them up. There's some, and the cards are kind of expensive too, like the League Pro mode, like competitive cards, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it
uh,
depends, like, some of them, like the Sableyes and the Forest Sealstones
yeah.
and Snorlaxes, like, those were a little bit more expensive because there's people, like you who go out of their way to get the non-holo versions of cards because they prefer that. But, like,
Yeah.
some of the cards, like, the league stamped Urshifu, Rapid Strike Urshifu V is, like, almost the same price as the Rapid Strike Urshifu V regular one.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it just feels weird. I mean, like, obviously I understand the idea of, like, taking advantage of it, like, you don't give out some of the packs, you open them yourself, you sell the cards or you sell the packs.
Yeah, and that's what they
Um,
don't want people to do.
yeah, and that's what they're trying to avoid happening, but, like, I don't know. It feels like if you're someone who's gonna do that knowing you were kinda breaking the rules to begin with, like, I mean, I guess, like, you need some rules in place, right? If the rules are being broken anyways, putting more strict rules out there, you hope to, like, to diminish it as much as you possibly can. So I guess maybe it does make sense, but it just kinda feels weird that you can't buy the card from little Timmy so he can then go buy I don't know, a pack of dragon shields to sleeve his deck with, and then you do resell it at a higher price or whatever, but that doesn't seem like it seems like there's nothing malicious there specifically, but I guess it's the other stuff that they're trying to crack down on is just like the withholding of the prize packs to then just sell them or open them and sell the promos yourselves, which I understand, I guess, being something they don't want to have happen because the prize packs are supposed to go to the people who show up to your league, right?
Yeah, and then it also begs the question of, like, how far back does this limitation go, you know? If someone, you know, is buying, like, the old school stamped, like, Uxies and Azelfs and stuff like that from,
Yeah.
like, 2009, 2010,
Well,
their
in the
store's not allowed to sell those, you know?
yeah, in the reply here, I mean, this tweet comes from Tabletop Village, and their own reply was, what is that? Ton of league
Yeah, they said
promos
they have
begin
a
to
ton
have
of league
a
promos. They didn't have a league when these promos were released, but they pulled them off their shelves and online channels. So they're like, abiding by this. They're not going to sell them. And it's just pictures of,
yeah.
stamped Torterra, Countercatcher, Leafeons, Abstraca, Lucario, like these cards that were in the past given to some other store for free, but that's years ago at this point.
How much are those counter catches worth? Those actually have to be worth a decent amount, right?
Whenever Countercatcher reprint came out, they were worth like $10. I don't know how much they're worth now.
Oh, that's not that much. I thought it'd be worth more. I guess the gold ones are like the big thing that people were sought after.
That's the thing too, is there's just so many prints of these cards now. Yeah, it looks like on
And see,
TCG Player they're like $7.
I don't know. This just feels like I mean, I just kind of like it feels bad for like local game stores who are like generally abiding by the rules and are like only like buying the cards that the players want to sell, then reselling those. I know there was like it's actually interesting that this happened because I know there was. Did you see that Twitter thread that happened about Full Grip reselling league pack promos?
I did see
Um,
that. That was like
yeah,
last year.
yeah. Basically, someone made a big stink about Full Grip selling league promos and full. I don't know. I think Mahone maybe replied to them or Full Grip themselves, and they were just like, I mean, these are just cards that we bought from our locals, and they replied that you can't sell any of them or any like league promo stuff. But I don't believe that was the rule back then. Like that wasn't one of their restrictions back then. But now it is. Um so yeah. And I guess yeah, it's just trying to crack down on the idea of like people, withholding the packs and opening themselves. But yeah, I don't know, it just feels a little weird. This feels a little weird. I feel like there could have been a better way to do it. And or like maybe like a better reporting
I
system
mean,
from the players at the leagues to
a
like
blanket, like, "You can't do this," is probably genuinely the best way to do it. It's, like,
well
the only way
yeah,
that it's, like, as enforceable as possible.
but I
Like,
just
sure,
feel
there's
like
still
it's
always gonna there's al no matter what system you put in place, there's gonna be bad actors and people who, like, still do it
yeah.
anyway, no matter what. But
But I feel like you could have put forth maybe like a better reporting system for players at least to report the stores that are like seemingly withholding league packs or whatever,
sure, sure.
or something like that. Because I feel like this just like hurts local game stores. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like these cards are like, especially I guess like looking at it from the competitive side of things, like these are cards that competitive players want certain arts of with the stamp promo. Some people really like the stamp promos, so like being able to go to your game store and sell it to your game store or buy it from your game store, you just can't do that anymore. That's completely gone, which just it just feels really weird to remove that when that in that that whole process and ecosystem of the transition or the trading of the freaking league promo cards like is not harmful at all. So I don't know. That feels really weird to like just cut that out entirely because of this other problem. Maybe it's not as big of a deal as I think it is. If anyone out there owns a game store, let me know of like not being able to sell these league promos anymore because you want to keep your Pokemon League around. Is that going to be that big of a deal? I'm not sure. It just to me looking at it because I just like know what Pokemon players like, and Pokemon players like the league promo cards, right? So it's like,
Yeah, I mean,
um,
also too, it does mention
they
staff
get them through
promos
trading
in
now.
here, staff promos. Does that mean just like the pre-release promos that get sent to them, or
It's probably
would
all
that
staff
include like
promos.
the regional promos
Yeah,
that
probably.
go out? You know,
I would assume. I feel like they would
so
have
like, are
otherwise
they not going to be
specified.
able to like usually people pick up their swag from a regionals, and a lot of people keep it and hold on to it, but there's a lot of people who sell that stuff right away to try to recoup a little bit of money. Go to the vendor, sell their mat, sell their promo. Are they not able to sell that promo anymore?
Well, maybe it isn't those actually selling league stamped promos. Why do I play Pokemon for league participation? It says for league participation, so maybe they are. It is just limited to the league stuff. So you might still be able
Yeah,
to do
it does
the
seem like this is
yeah,
really centering around Pokemon League related
and like
things.
pre-release stuff as well. It sounds like as
Yeah.
well. They want people to stop getting rid of the pre-release stuff until the pre-releases are done, and then at that point it's okay. Um, yeah, for me, it just feels weird. I guess that's my only take on it. That one, it just feels weird. Um, but I don't know how much of how much you're cutting into profits, the potential profits from like local game stores at all with that. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, and most local game stores will be okay with just like, biting the bullet on that one just to keep their league around.
Well, there was a tournament this past weekend over in Germany. We're talking here with the league promos about people playing the game. Let's talk about people who are actually competing at the highest level playing the game. And that was that tournament this weekend. It was won by Christian Fontenot playing something that has been a little bit under the radar. People have kind of known about it here and there. Brennan Cameraman got top 8 at LAIC with a version of this deck, but this is just a straight Sablezard deck that Christian was able to get the win with.
Yeah, so just like the and I guess it is, like, geared towards a little bit more towards being able to deal with Iron Hands, you got the double turbo, the double Raihan,
Yep.
the one of Mirage Gate, so you need, like, an answer to, like, a turn 2 Iron Hands, you can't just, like well, because if you don't, you just lose. So you need,
Yeah.
like, an answer to, like, the turn 1, turn 2 Iron Hands, which is, like, more and more decks are going for, maybe Jakey Gearhart's prediction, maybe no longer a false prophet, 'cause a lot of these Lost Zone decks are starting to include the Iron Hands as well, and there's starting to be more and more of them. So you need to have those aggressive answers. And then besides that, it's a good old, Stable Iron Cramorant. The squad is back. And then I guess like the other cool addition to the deck is like the counter catchers and the TMD evolution. TMD evolution really big like for Charizard and Guardian stuff like that. And counter catchers are really good to close out the games with the Radiant Charizard at the end of the game. Your opponent goes down to one, you have two. Counter catcher a two prizer. But then also like to be able to like fall behind and then like pick off your opponent's Jirachi and stuff like that up against like Charizard
Yeah.
and
Gives you
the
counter
Gardevoir matchup.
catcher, Roxanne Sableye plays as well.
Yep. Yeah, you get that as well. So you can like do some late game cheese, kind of what like Lost Tina tries to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Kind of catch a Roxanne combo. So yeah, I mean, this is like I feel like Sablezard is one of those decks that was kind of being talked about, like going into the format was being talked about, and it was like the most played way that people were playing Lost
Yeah.
Zone stuff initially, and then it kind of died off quite a bit. I guess Lost Zone kind of in general like died off as the first couple majors started rolling around with LAIC and stuff like that. There wasn't that much Lost Zone stuff. Saw Brennan get top out there with a Sable Zard with the Roaring Moon, and then it kind of like was popping up here and there, but nothing too big. Tord had the big finish with Gdansk with the Lost Pile, I think is what we're gonna be calling it moving forwards now. Lost Pile. Arceus is in here to take
We're
the pile.
retiring
So,
Arc Pile, and now it's just
yeah.
Lost Pile.
So the Lost Pile, and yeah, now we got back over to some Sablezard. There was a Lost Pile in Top Cut as well of this one, and yeah, the Sablezard with it's not like I mean the deck still like seems like it's pretty strong. I'm not sold on it um personally yet as like gonna be like maybe a mainstay in the format of deck like you're gonna constantly want to try and respect. But I think a lot of people do like Sablezard. I think people do like Sablezard. Um, so if it is kind of proves to be like a pretty consistent powerhouse or pretty consistently powerful deck, then I think we'll see it be pretty popular. Actually, we'll start to see its grow in popularity.
Yeah, if we look at Christian's matchups as well from the tournament, he played a lot of Tina in day one, especially played against 3 lost Tina, a couple more in day 2 as well. And then other than that, the variety of all the other decks, a couple Charizards in here, just a couple Miraidon, a couple Urshifu, was able to get a win against one in round 1. That has to be probably the worst matchup for the deck, right? Is Urshifu?
I'd have to imagine. I guess TMD evolution can change some stuff up because you can just de-evolve the VMAXs to like
Yeah.
theoretically punch a bunch of them. But it seems like it's probably pretty tough. Yeah, I can't imagine you're having a good time against the Rapid Strike. That's got to be tough.
Yeah. And then a couple of Mews, which is probably one of your best matchups, honestly.
Yeah,
If
because
they
it
don't
does
have
have
any like
the
techs.
yeah. I think both of those Mews were double turbo Mews.
Yeah.
And did have the Spirit Tomb with 2 Super Rods and 2 Clara. So just in case they got the boss, like that's like Mew's game plan against Spirit Tomb is as double turbo Mew, go first, set up your hand to get turn 2 boss on the Spirit Tomb, get it, and then
Pray
hope
that
they
they don't open
yeah.
Spiritomb as well.
Oh yeah, hope they don't open the Spirit Tomb and then hope they can't recover it. And then like and that was like why double turbo Mew up against like Rapid Strike last format actually wasn't a terrible matchup because they played the one Spiritomb and did people even play Clara the previous one? People had to play, but it was just like one Clara. So like recovering it was not super easy to do. So that was like your win condition. Now it's a little bit harder though, because a lot of the decks, like the Urshifu decks or the Rapture decks, are playing like 2 Clara and the Spiritomb and stuff like that. And this one has, like I said, 2 Super Odd, 2 Clara. So the Spiritomb's coming back, and lots of ways to find it with like the fog crystals and stuff.
Let's look at just this top 8 as a whole. I mean, I think one of the big standouts has to be, we're talking about it a little bit right now already, just a pair of Urshifu here in top 8 from Theo and
Yeah.
Tino.
I'm actually curious as to what they actually lost to. I wonder what I actually don't know what the top 8 bracket looked like fully. But yeah,
Oh,
Rapid
in
Strike. And
single elimination.
Yeah, and the lists are a little bit different. They're pretty similar, both research builds. What was I gonna say? Gino had the no Irida 3 research. This looks very similar to actually the list that Rahul played at Gdansk. And then Theo's build, 2 Irida, 2 research. So a little bit slower, I guess, but like you can kind of pick out what you want. No squawkability, but had the Luminian, and I believe both had the Spirit Tomb. So double Turbo Mew was well teched for overall, definitely.
Yeah, the team devolution in here also giving this deck
Yeah,
a
it's a
lot of
big move card.
legs.
Yeah, really big against Gardevoir and specifically Charizard. That's like how you're just
Yeah.
like destroying Charizard
Pretty
right
much
now.
immediately after LAIC, I think people kind of collectively recognized, okay, Urshifu seems pretty good. We saw it do pretty good at the two tournaments right back to back. After
Yep.
LAIC, Brisbane and what was it? The
Dansk.
Poland regionals, yeah, Gdansk. And
Yeah.
then yeah, here it just breaks through into the top 8.
Was there the bracket up there on PokéStats Live? Did you pull it up for a
No,
second? No bracket?
no bracket. It doesn't look like the pairings got updated after top 8, like
Oh,
on the
interesting.
Arcanine
Well,
pairings.
it did lose to Christian then, we see that, right? Lost to the Lost
Mhm.
Pile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And speaking of which, the lost pile, yeah, you said it just about perfectly.
And it's got a lot there's a lot of stuff in here, but then you also look at it as a lost zone deck, and you're like, you can't attack with Sableye, can't attack with Greninja, but still play a Mirage Gate build. And the build is, like, really designed around trying to be like a 2 prize trade deck, right?
Yeah.
So up against stuff like Charizard, you can go like Hands, Tropius with the glasses, and then you have, like, Roaring Moon to maybe close it out.
Yo, Iron
Um,
Hands with the glasses into
Gia
Intellium VMAX.
Oh, into an Italian VMAX, yeah, that's 4. There we go, 4 right there. Just gotta get 2 more. So yeah, it's very much like an aggressive 2 prize trade or 4 prize trade style deck. Kinda not exactly like I say similar to like what Tord build, but more so like similar to what Tord's build was trying to do from Gdansk, which was just like draw a lot of prize cards really fast. You know, you got the hands, got the moon, um, and just trying to. And we've seen like now a couple different builds like this pop up. Tord played another lost pile that was like it's not exactly like what we just looked at, but it's like similar idea, right? You got the hands, you got the roaring moon, you got a Tina in there as well. You can hit him with the lost requiem or lost impact or star requiem for a big knockout. Still has the Kyogre for some kind of some comeback potential, specifically probably up against like Miraidon. The Kyogre probably shines, but does have like the ability to attack with Greninja and Sableye in this one. I think like similar ideas as to what they're trying to do for sure. That's the way it feels. And both foregoing I believe, both foregoing Manaphy because
Yep.
if you just get the hand set up, you're not really scared of a Moonlight Shuriken if you can just hands it
Nope.
on the next turn. So they don't really have time to Moonlight Shuriken, so you don't really need the Manaphy.
And then while we're on the topic of Lost Box, we mentioned it in the opening. Tina in top 4 once again. Alberto got to break through to the finals at one of these things, right?
What was it? Yeah, what was it in? Was it
I think he
Gdansk or
got top 4 in
wasn't Gdansk?
whatever the last one was as well that he did well at. It
Lil.
was
Yeah, fifth at
oh, he got
Lil.
top 8 in Lil.
Yeah. Now the top four. I mean, it's got to be the finals in the next one, right? The next
Let's
probably. I
go.
mean, yeah, probably with Lostina as well. There's no reason. Alberto's gonna Liverpool. I think is the next one for Europe. So Alberta will be in the finals of Liverpool. So just make sure if you play a deck and you want to win the tournament, you have to be able to try and have a good Lostina matchup, or just not unfavorable. If you
Liverpool's
get to
going to
the
be
finals,
massive, by the way. They already had registration and stuff for it, and it's sold out 1,500 TCG Masters, which is going to be the largest regionals ever in Europe.
I just wonder. I mentioned this on my
It
stream
basically
earlier
sold out
too.
instantly as well, by the way.
Yeah, I mentioned this on my stream. Like, it kind of sucks for everywhere besides North America because they can't really like show how big the community has gotten over in Europe, over in Latin America, or even in Australia because theirs have sold out instantly too, and they're capping at 400 off the rip, like fast cap to 400 at Melbourne. Like they capped at 400 like instantly.
Yeah.
So they can't really show how big the community has grown in these other regions because the caps are just so small. And Latin America's had only has one regional on the schedule, and they capped at 400 instantly for
Yep.
Curitiba, and
Dude,
I think they could easily get like
how has there not
1,200.
been another Latin America regionals?
I don't know, at least
I had one in
announced, like,
September. We're in
there's nothing o
December, bro.
there's
It's about to
nothing
be a
on
new
the schedule.
year.
Yeah, there's nothing on the schedule for Latin America. But yeah, it's actually the other regions that they really can't show how big Pokemon's gotten in their region. North America, we have been able to express it. Our tournaments aren't really capping that fast besides Knoxville. People have plenty of time to register, so we're showing like, around 2,400 is like what we're pushing towards right now in North America. But yeah, Europe, Latin America, Australia can't really show well, how big the games have gone over there. Because yeah, they cap instantly. The tournaments cap instantly. So it's like, how many more people could there be? We kind of can't tell.
We did see Maridon make it all the way to the finals once again. I think it was, I'm gonna pull it up. JW tweeted something like uh
How many times Ryan's made it to the finals of major tournaments so far this year? It's like
yeah,
50% or
no, he
something.
said, hang on, I'm pulling it up. It's becoming weird for Maridon to not be in the finals of a major tournament.
AW, massive Maridon fan for sure. And
But
this was
yeah,
like pretty
pretty normal list, right? Nothing crazy in this one.
back to the judges, I think is the biggest
Okay, yeah,
thing
sure.
here. Like
No
Juho
Arvin.
wasn't playing the judges. No Arv yeah, I'm so glad to see that I think Arvin sucks in the deck, to be honest. The more I played with it, I was like, I wish this card was any other draw supporter at any other point in the game. So I'd like to see the no Arvin personally. But yeah, back to the judges, still going the path build.
Double
Each
Iron
board will spec
Hands.
you. Yeah, double hands. So it has the option of that second hands attack. Um, I think the biggest thing for that is just like not pricing it more so than anything, right? Because the hands are
Yeah,
so
I feel like it
important.
is.
Yeah, against Lost Zone decks, and I think it's becoming more important with Lost Zone getting more popular, right? It's important to
Yeah.
not prize your hands. If you go back to just being a two prize deck against Lost Box, you're losing. So
It's, like,
really gotta not prize
supremely
your hands.
important against Gardevoir as well. It's, like, the only way you beat like, I think Miraidon actually, I think we said this last week, it has a good Gardevoir matchup right now, but it
Yeah, yeah, it's
is
pretty
based
solid.
around you attacking with Iron Hand. So if, like, you're only playing one and it's not there, you're just not gonna have a good time against Gardevoir.
Yeah, you're not like a four path build anymore where you can kind of
Yeah.
try and drain them of their resources and kind of catch them with a path in the mid late game where they whiff an attack and that's kind of your win condition. You still have that. You still got the two path in there, but you really just want to get turn two hands or turn one hands going second, and then kind of just snowball the lead too fast for them to keep up, which is what the deck can do in that matchup for sure as well. Definitely has that. Definitely is possible. So yeah, I mean, Maridon, I think is really. I thought about it earlier, when I was doing a tier list on my stream and kind of just talking about decks and stuff, and I was like, just thinking about Maridon's matchups. It is just overall just like pretty solid in the current format. Like,
Yeah. You're, I mean, just not being having a bad Charizard matchup is really the worst thing for it.
yeah, yeah. And
You're pretty
Charizard had
fine
like,
against everything else.
yeah, and Charizard had like a tough times in terms of conversion rate at this one. It was the most popular deck in day one at 17%, and then it went down to 10% in day two, I think. So, um, that's definitely a good sign for Maridon going into the day two. And Charizard did pretty well overall. There was only one in top 8, and it was like a lost box build, but I guess we could go to that next and take a look at that. Yeah, the only Charizard in top 8, besides the Radiant Charizard from Christian, was a Lost Zone Charizard. This is a deck I haven't really messed around with too much. I kinda like the idea of it because you get to kinda play Charizard usually plays from behind, and that's not a bad thing, but this kind of build a Charizard, you kinda get to play on tempo, right? You go second, I mean, there's 2 crams in here, so I hope we're attacking with turn 1 cram pretty consistently. So go second, attack with the cram, or if you go first, turn 2 attack with cram if you can't get to the candy Zard or don't want to candy the Zard yet. And you have like different options for KOs throughout the game to like clean up and make it easier on your prize trade, like through the Greninja and the Sableye as well.
Yeah. The water energies in here is crazy. Like, I can get behind the Sableye, but
2 Mirage Gate, 2 water. Not a
yeah,
fan.
that's the kind of most questionable thing to me, I feel like, that stands out in this list. I mean,
We got Lost City though. We can
you
Lost
probably just
City.
catch like, people probably don't expect you to
Yeah.
like, in game 1, people are not gonna put Manaphy down against this deck, right? Like, nobody's been
Um.
playing this like this.
No, there has the player who got top 8 first with a build like this, like in it might have been Barcelona. I don't know, remember what tournament it was.
Well,
They
one
had
of
the
these got
waters.
top 8 in Brisbane, right? And I don't remember that one having.
No, no, no. Well, Brisbane was B Barrel with crams and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. It wasn't Lost Zone. But there was a
Okay,
Lost Zone Zard back when Zard first came out. The first tournament after Zard came out, like Barcelona or something. Well, it
okay.
might have been Barcelona, yeah. There was the one of them was in top 8. Yeah, there it
And
is.
this
And
one did have the
they had the
waters,
yeah, they
okay.
had the 2 waters. Um so yeah, I mean, as people been doing it, I mean, more threats is better. It's just like, is the trade-off of having it because like you don't really need to play Mirage Gate unless you're gonna play Water Energy, right? So is it worth it to include 2 Water Energy and 2 Mirage Gate to have the threat of the Greninja versus just being a more consistent Charizard deck? And so far it's been working out. So like maybe it is. Like I mean, you force your opponent to bench the Manaphy, but even then, you got Sableye Lost City, you can Lost Zone their Manaphy, and then the Greninja just has like free reign over their board, right? So like you can eventually like build up to that potentially.
And then I think one of the other big standouts here in day 2 is Luigi, who got to ninth place with the Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon was the weekend that the set came out, the most popular deck online. Everyone was rocking out with
Yeah.
Roaring Moon.
It was
People were
insane.
expecting it to be pretty popular at LAIC, and it was popular, but it just wasn't, I don't think, as popular as people thought it would be, and it also didn't do super well at LAIC. Kind
No.
of fell off the radar pretty hard for a lot of people. People started, the way you see Roaring Moon now is as a tech in Lost Box decks. That's been just
Yeah.
about it.
It's
But
just
Luigi's
frenzied
saying,
gouging
"Hey,
is
this
really
deck is
good.
still really powerful."
Yeah, yeah. It's and it was like I think it was 10th place at Gdansk as well. So it's just like
Mhm.
right there. And I'm not still sold, even if it's getting this close. But like you look under, it's like okay, Roaring Moon. Like I'm looking at Gdansk right now. Roaring Moon at 10, and then the next Roaring Moon is all the way down at 58th. And then you go to what is it, the Stuttgart, and we're looking
Stuttgart.
at Roaring Moon at ninth. And then how far do we have to scroll until we hit the next
Is
Roaring
there
Moon?
another one?
That's a good question. Besides the Lost Zone one, actually,
It's
there might not be.
81st.
Okay, so like it's like yeah, you. It's not like the deck is
There
like
were only 2 in day 2.
yeah, it's not like the ones that make day two are thriving. Top 32 is the worst kind of like worst play. Like top 32 are better. It's like one gets up there to like 9,
Oh,
10th. The
look
deck
at
isn't
these
bad.
matchups.
And the Urshifu matchup is really good.
Yeah. Oh,
The Urshifu
man.
matchup is really
Wait,
good,
there
and
was
we
only
see
2 Roaring Moons in day 2, and they played each other in round
that's rough. I mean, that was like the moment. It's like, go on, brother, you've got
10.
this.
Yeah. Take the wheel.
Yeah.
Lost a winning in,
Carry the
though.
torch, carry the torch. Yeah, did and got to the winning and got to the winning in, and lost to the Lost Zone deck. So yeah, Roaring Moon, I think the deck is just too linear. That's why I think, like, if you're gonna play it, you should at least include some water energies, especially if you already have energy switches in there, get the water energy in there. Have that possible the Moonlight Shuriken can get some cheesy turn 1, turn 2 plays with it, or your opponent just doesn't put Manaphy down against you, whatever, or they have to go get Manaphy, make them work a little harder. But even with all that, I think the power level of the deck just comes up really short against the top decks in the format. The Guardy, the Zard specifically, and then even the Miraidon matchup is probably like 50-50, I would have to guess.
Yeah, I think a
Um,
slight edge does go to
Moon?
the Moon, but,
I think, yeah, the deck just isn't we're just not in a thankfully almost, it's not in like a beat stick 2 prize meta. Like it's
yeah.
not it can't thrive in this meta, I feel like. And it'll I don't know if it'll like rotation will solve that for the Moon, but it'll always be there to potentially, have its come up. But I don't think it's right now. Despite we seeing these like higher placings. And I even said on my stream today, like if Roy Moon gets top 8 at San Antonio, I'm not gonna be surprised, but I'm still gonna put it in D tier, on my next tier list. So
And then hanging around here in the top 16, we do have one Snorlax. So someone was able to make it through. If you look at a lot of these top 8 lists, like, this Lost Zone deck, we see a Minior in here. Like, people were, I think, like, semi prepared for Snorlax. I think it does get
yeah.
collateraled a little bit by people just kind of naturally putting Spiritomb in their deck for Snorlax, but also for Mew, being in Europe, Mew has been really popular. Spiritomb's good there, really good
Yeah, like
against the
the
Snorlax still too.
yeah, like the Marauder decks are generally they're fine against control. I don't think it's like a good or it's probably that one's maybe just a close matchup.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
it
like
is probably just
Sablezard
close.
Sablezard with Spiritomb sounds like a bad time for for Snorlax as well. So, yeah, I think there's just and then yeah, some people were rocking the Minior, right? They're like, I just really don't want to lose to control. I mean, and then Lost Tina's a tough one as well, right? Lost Tina is also a tough matchup
Yeah.
generally for control.
Roaring
So yeah,
Moon, yeah, not good.
yeah, so it just kind of has a tough time in the current meta, and plus people are like I think one thing with control as well is, like, playing against control is just so different. The average player just plays very poorly into control most of the time, but now it's
Yep.
been a deck for a little while, people kind of are understanding their lines with their deck against it. The average player is gonna give the control players a lot harder time than they were at, like, LAIC or something like that. It just takes some time.
And then our best finishing Gardevoir player was Brian DeVries here at 15th in the top 16, rocking the same list he played at Gdansk, top 32. Was pretty happy with that result. Must have felt like the deck was good and just rolled the same 60, nothing to change.
Yeah, yeah, going the cape over the station. That's like the biggest thing that I like pick out on the guard vortex is like
Caperization, yeah.
caperization, and then I feel like you're not playing Palpad. You've played like 2 games with Gardevoir, so if you're playing Palpad still, I feel like you've just played no Gardevoir in this meta. To be honest. Every time like the Palpad is so bad. So when I see no Palpad, I'm like, all right, that's on track. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Gardevoir I guess is like kind of the biggest standout here of not failures, but I guess like lackluster
Low
performances.
performance.
Yeah, yeah. lackluster performance, right? Because one of the most popular decks it had the best conversion rate. Actually, its conversion rate or it was the most popular deck in day 2 by a lot, I think. Conversion rate was
I don't have
fine.
day 2 here.
I think it was, like it was the most popular deck in day 2, I'm almost positive, um,
Let me see if I can
for
find it real
sure.
quick.
Most popular deck in day 2 by a decent amount, I think. Decent conversion rate as well. But yeah, did not really do that great. I mean, 16 is still decent, but like I said, like Roaring Moon being ninth. No one's like losing their mind that Roaring Moon's all of a sudden like a top tier deck. Gardevoir is definitely respected as a top tier deck, but I think the meta has gotten a lot worse for it as well, though, right? Like the Rapid Strike's a tough matchup, especially now they got the TMD evolution, and it feels like everyone has something in their deck still for Gardevoir. The Mew's got the box, like people are playing double box of Disaster and Mew. Um,
Yeah,
so like the Mew's got the box of Disaster, Rapid Strike's got TM Devo, Lost Box decks are starting to make a comeback as well. Oh, I thought it was Gardevoir. What stats did I see? So it's Tina. Tina was the number
Tina.
one.
Yeah.
Tina was the number one. Yeah, I don't know what stats. I think I looked at the PokeStats live. I looked at the PokeStats live data, I think, and I had Gardevoir at 1, Charizard at 10.
Yeah,
Um,
that's probably what it is.
yeah, I wonder. Let's see if it's updated. I'll see if it's any different. So you go to.
It probably yeah, because
Can you still
they
see it?
only
There we
this
go.
only still goes based off what's reported.
No, but yeah, click on the day 1 and go the day 2 conversion.
Yeah, so day 2, it does have Gardevoir as most popular. Oh,
Oh no,
they're the
no,
same
wait, click on the.
percentage.
Okay, hang on, but yeah, go there back to the PokeStats live. What I must have been looking at was the day 2 conversion. That's the
No,
stats I was
no,
looking.
because on day 2, they do have it Gardevoir 1.
Oh yeah, you are right. Yeah, that is what I saw then. Day 2
The day
conversion
2
though.
conversion was Tina.
Yeah, Tina and
Tina,
then
Lost Box,
Zard.
and Inteleon, or Shifu.
For some reason, I thought Zard had a worse time overall,
But
but
this is, like, just the data from users, right? Like, this is
yeah,
just
yeah.
from
So I don't
people
know how
submitting.
much. Yeah, I don't know how different it is. Like from using the official data is probably more. I would assume would be more accurate, right? I think that'd be a good
Yeah, so this
assumption.
has, like, Gardevoir and Tina tied, but there's one more Tina here, so probably what that is just, like, one person whose deck didn't get reported who, like, is lower in day 2.
Yeah,
They were playing Giratina is probably what it is.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
But yeah, we did have some predictions that we made going into this event, so we can recap them right now. We predicted what we thought the most popular deck was gonna be day 1. Azul predicted Gardevoir. I
I was pretty
predicted
confident too.
Miraidon. We were both wrong, but I was a
Yeah,
lot closer.
yeah. I was pretty confident, bro. I was like,
You were
but
very confident.
yeah, I just like didn't expect them to ride on train to keep chugging along. And I definitely did not expect Charizard to be 17% after it was what was in Gdansk, 16% or something?
Yeah, it just
16?
kept
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. So Charizard I expected to come down a little bit for sure. I thought it was just kind of on one of those like it was like kind of random highs where it was just like it's a good deck. It being the first deck isn't a surprise, but it's a little bit probably a little bit too high, too much higher than it should be. And yeah, the Miraidon thing I expected to come way down. But to be honest, the way the meta is shifting, it's like shifting into decks that are good against Gardevoir and Charizard, stuff like the Rapid Strike, right? And I actually
Yeah.
think like Miraidon's matchup against Rapid Strike has gotten a lot better because everyone has Mew in their list now. You always have the Mew. You have double turbo to go with the Mew a lot of the time as well, which is good to like copy G Max Rapid Flow and stuff. And then you also can hands for 3 on like turn 1 or turn 2 onto like an Inteleon V. So I feel like the matchup definitely changed. It got better for Miraidon. Is it favorable? I don't know. But like it got better. It didn't get worse for sure. Um, yeah, I think maybe like the meta shifting is just getting worse for those 2 decks, and people's testing kind of was leading them to like see that, and they're like, okay, well, why would I play Gardevoir? At this point, we still had a lot of really good players playing Gardevoir, of course. I wouldn't even be surprised like results that like probably Gardevoir is the deck that was played by the players with the most results overall, or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Like I said, Brian DeVries was still playing it, James Cox was still playing it, so very good players still choosing to play it, but didn't have a great tournament run. And yeah, a lot of people are kind of putting it down right now. It feels like, and I feel like the meta is not going to shift any more than too much away from what it currently is. So I feel like Garver numbers are probably going to stay down as well overall. But yeah, I mean, I was like pretty confident in my prediction for Garver to be the most popular deck, but not even
I knew
close.
that Miraidon would stay true.
Yeah, Miraidon. Yeah, the biggest surprise for me overall isn't that Garver was only 11%. It's that Miraidon was still so popular. It's like probably the biggest surprise to me overall. But yeah, I think it is. But like
Well,
like I
going
even
into
said
San
earlier,
Antonio, buddy, I think, we might need
yeah.
to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it definitely is a deck I think you wanna be able to beat now for sure, it's
Yeah.
like you gotta beat it for sure, like it's become that deck. I didn't think it would stick around as that deck, but it has become one of those decks. You gotta make sure you can beat the Charizard, and that kinda puts it almost feels like Guardian's that deck where you maybe don't even need to be Guardian anymore. Like, it'd be good if you do, but feels less important now in the meta.
Our next prediction was over under 1.5 Mew in top 8. Azul took the under, I took the over, and it was just one single copy of Mew. We were close. There were several winning ins that just didn't go Mew's way, but yeah, Mew with just one copy in the top 8. And then our last prediction was
Most
highest
irritating.
placing Snorlax. And Azul said top 4. You thought Snorlax was still going to have a good showing, buddy.
Well, what was my prediction last week? It was like Cremasoli in top 4 with Snorlax,
Oh,
I
yeah,
forget
yeah, yeah,
losing to
yeah.
Alberto with Tina or something, or I think it was
Yeah.
like, um, but yeah, not quite. Yeah, there was one of the top 16. You got that one right.
And you did
Yeah,
get Alberto in the top cut.
I did. Yeah, that I did. I did what I could. I did what I could. You know, I
But
did what
I
I
did
could
accurately put Snorlax exactly in
in
the
the top
top
16.
16, right
Yeah,
right where it ended up.
yeah. It did feel pretty. The meta seemed like not great for Snorlax overall. Lost Tina, kind of making a come up. Mews were there. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just lost zone stuff in general getting more popular because that's like the one thing Snorlax doesn't want to see. Tina's lost boxes, lost piles, doesn't matter what it is, lost anything. It's
There's
trying
still
to
this
avoid
amount of
those.
like Entei in day 2 as well. Like that's not a great matchup for Snorlax.
Yeah,
Roaring Moon, there's a couple
and then some of these Charizards, I'm sure
had the mini or.
the mini aura, right? I'm sure some people had brought it. Yeah, there it is. The 13th place list. Patrick with the has the Minior in the Charizard. Minior and Turo. Minior and Turo. So even if they had the Mawile to cheese the Minior, the Turo comes right back, picks the Minior up, knock the Mawile out with the Charizard, lost City it probably, and then go back to the Minior to close out the game from there.
Yeah, there was no Mawile in the
Yeah,
Snorlax
there was
deck.
no one. Yeah, no one was playing the Mawile. I thought there would be. I thought I'd see some tech. The only person who had it was Cremasoli. Cremasoli played Lost City and double turbos because it still had the Luxray in there, and was still playing the Pidgeot. So you could KO the Minior with Pidgeot, with Lost City and Lost City it. So that was kind of cute.
All right. Well,
No
those were our
Mawile.
predictions for Stuttgart. We're going to have some predictions here coming up soon for San Antonio this weekend. And we're going to talk about all the decks. But before we do that, we do need to take a moment to thank our sponsor of the podcast, Dragon Shield. Of course, Dragon Shield makes some of the best card gaming and tabletop gaming products. We love them for their sleeves. Azul also loves to rock the Dragon Shield deck box as well because it just is one solid thing that fits his dice case and everything. He
Yeah,
loves it. And
big fan.
yeah, we love the sleeves for sure. You got your color picked out for this weekend, Azul?
Yeah, actually, I think what I've been doing, dude, I've been trying to be like super efficient with my packing stuff. I hate like unpacking and packing stuff. I've already got some sleeves. I don't know what color of sleeves I have, but they're already in my suitcase, ready to go. Because like when I unpack, I just grab a couple more things in sleeves and put them in the suitcase to just be that much further ahead of packing and not forgetting stuff. So I
Are
don't know
you a
what I don't.
list guy, Azul?
No, I don't make a list, but I come up with like,
Just like in general in life, I mean,
you mean a list, like making a list of
like
stuff?
to do today and write it out, or like
No,
these are things I need to do this week and like write them out.
no, not really. But I try and come up with like methods and patterns for like everything to be as efficient as possible in life. Like little things like that. Like
Mhm.
when I unpack my suitcase, I put my sleeves in my suitcase for my next trip and just get that ahead. I try and be as efficient as I possibly can. I come up with like, yeah, methods or patterns and procedures, stuff like that to just be efficient. But no, I don't like do the listing. Although sometimes I wish I did because I forget things all the time that I wish I had written down. I actually have a whiteboard up next to me now. And I like, one of the big things I write down on there is just like decks I'm gonna play on stream and stuff like that. But then I also have a little bit of a to-do thing at the top of it where I do write down some stuff when I remember it to, like, remember to do it, but not generally, no, I don't have a list.
Well, this is supposed to be our sponsor segment. We've spent this whole time talking about
Yeah.
Azul's
Well, yeah.
packing
Big
habits.
shout out to Dragon Shield as always for sponsoring the podcast. Check them
Azul
out.
will be as surprised as everyone else when we see what color sleeves he's rocking this
Yeah.
weekend.
I don't know what's in there. There's something in there. There's a couple packs in my suitcase for sure. But yeah, check them out, dragonshield.com. And, as always, you can find them literally everywhere else, local game stores, Walmart, you name it, they are there.
Link in our description as well that you can click now that is an affiliate link. So if you want to support us directly, you can purchase stuff on their web shop online through our affiliate link. And with that being said, we can move on to guess that flavor text. It's Azul's turn this week. Azul, why don't you break it down for us?
Yeah, so we got guess that flavor text. This week I'll be picking a card for Chip to try and guess by reading the flavor text on the card, and then Chip has to try and guess which Pokemon that card and flavor text belongs to. If you get it right without using any lifelines, you get 4 points. For each lifeline used, you lose a point. The lifelines are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and read an attack name. Are
You
we
flew through that.
are we still at the same point
Yep,
numbers now?
yep,
So it's what?
10 to 16. So I've got a chance to jump ahead even further here.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm still upset about Meryl, by the way. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's get it.
When it bites with its massive and powerful jaws, it shakes its head and savagely tears its victim up.
Cheese. Okay.
No, when I read that too, I was like, "Geez." I was
It's
like,
brutal.
"I
Uh,
know."
so my first thought is
It's a
Sharpedo.
children's card game, bro.
Sharpedo, big jaws, definitely kind of a savage Pokemon as well. But it doesn't have to be like a shark or something like that. It could be, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like maybe like crocodile, not crocodile. Yeah, crocodile is the big one, right? Krokorok's the middle one.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. For a second,
crocodile.
I thought I was like, yeah.
Could be crocodile, maybe. Well, now I know it's not crocodile though because you were having to think about it. So,
I should have just, like, not even thought about it.
hmm um, yeah, I guess let me start with what set the card is from. See if this helps me some.
It is from Dragon Majesty.
Dragon Majesty. Okay, that helps me a lot. That's like a 20 card set. Did you know that?
Not until I read the set right now, yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
even read what set it was from until
Yeah. So I mean, it's all dragons as well. So I mean, it's like probably Haxorus or um Garchomp. I guess Chomp, Garchomp. You don't really think of Garchomp as like biting though. But it could be that. There's also like that secret rare Rayquaza in the set. Kyurem, Latios, Latias. I don't think it's either of those. I don't think it's Dragonite or Dratini or any of those. Salamence, I wouldn't think as well. I'm probably leaning towards Haxorus or Garchomp. Actually, is Haxorus even in that set? I think there is a Haxorus in that set. It's got to be either Haxorus or Garchomp. And I don't know that reading the attack name will help me narrow that down. 'Cause you're probably gonna give me some, like, vanilla attack, I guess.
classic dragon attack.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm gonna go it's one of those 2, Haxorus or Garchomp, I don't know. Do I have a coin?
Do
I
you have
don't
your
think I have a
phone?
coin. Oh, I do have a coin handy. Okay, here we go. You guys aren't gonna be able to see it. Heads is Garchomp, tails is Haxorus, alright?
Alright, go for it, Chip.
It's heads. Let's go with the Garchomp. Let's hear it.
It is not Garchomp. Do you want I'll give you the other 2 flavor text.
Wait,
Are you
I don't
ready?
even think there's a Garchomp in that set now.
Okay, but hang on.
Now I
Before
think I'm
you
tripping, dude.
well, hold on. Alright. The last 2 flavor texts are, it is a stage 2, and its attack is Riptide.
Riptide?
Yeah. Do you still think it's Haxorus?
I don't know.
Alright,
Is
well,
it
I'll give you
Salamence?
no, it is not Salamence. It is Feraligatr.
In Dragon's Majesty?
I mean, that's what it says, unless it's messed up.
Oh, bro, no. I
What?
was thinking Dragon Vault.
Oh, no.
I was thinking of the wrong set.
You've outdone yourself this time, Chip. You've outdone yourself. You
Oh,
overthought it.
dude.
Should've just asked for the attack name.
I was too
Honestly,
tunneled in.
I assumed you knew the right set, to be honest. I was like, "Alright, he probably knows the right set."
I didn't know the right set.
That is
Oh,
cringe, Chip.
dude, Riptide should have given it away too. This is like iconic, this card.
Do you think you would've gotten it if you had asked for
I mean,
confirmed stage
probably
2
if
plus Riptide? If you just remembered it was the different set, would you have got
yeah,
it?
yeah, if I had remembered if I had not thought this set was a different set, I would have gotten it 100% because this attack, Riptide, is the exact same as this one, which is the iconic for Alligator. Like, this was like the first BDIF was this card. You played
Okay.
this deck when we played 2001 recently.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 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 I did play one. Dude, that format is cringe.
You were having fun, bro, flipping
It
your
was fun, yeah,
coins,
it
the
was fun, it
baby
was fun.
roll.
Yeah. It's kinda
The
wild,
focus
though.
bands.
And the focus band.
Ah, dude, I'm so annoyed. I just thought it was Dragon's Majesty, dude.
Alright, Chip. Well, you might get them next time, but we're gonna have
Or
to
no,
move.
Dragon Vault.
We're gonna have to move on. Got it San Antonio Regionals this weekend.
Also, for what it's
Largest
worth, there's actually not a Garchomp in Dragon Vault, so I was wrong anyway.
well,
Alright,
you
go
were right
ahead.
eventually. It will be the largest regional of all time until probably another one later this year. Probably like Orlando, maybe or something like that. Could definitely break it depending on how much
Maybe Charlotte.
space there is. Yeah, Charlotte's close actually. I think. I don't know how close. I can actually look that up. Charlotte might
Yeah,
be
Charlotte
ahead.
Red has already happened, hadn't that?
Yeah, it's close. It's actually no. Charlotte is bigger right now. It's 25, almost 26 versus 2400.
Jeez.
So yeah, Charlotte's already bigger. But there's potential to have one even bigger later in the year. So biggest one as of right now.
Also, spots are still open for Charlotte.
Yeah, yeah.
I just
So go
tried to go
register for it.
register, and you can register.
Yeah. So if you haven't registered yet, go do it. Um, but yeah, so we just happened. Stuttgart just went down. Talked about that a little bit. We can move in and talk about some of the decks going into this weekend and expand on our thoughts a little bit more. We can start with Comfy decks. A couple of them out there. I think there's room for. There's definitely room for probably Tina. I mean, is there room for three? Is there room for all of them? Is there room for Tina, Sable's Art, and what do we call it? Lost Pile.
Lost pile. I mean, yeah, there has
Yeah.
to be because all three are going to be played for
Well,
sure.
yeah, but like it's like should they be played? Like, is it like one of them will be played just because people like it, but they should be playing the Lost Tina or the Lost Pile? But we'll probably see all
Yeah,
three
I
pretty
think they will
consistently
all
moving
be
forward.
played, and will they all have their place, right? Tina is kind of just like, the people who are too afraid to get off the sinking ship, right? They're going down, playing the violins as the Titanic is sinking. So Tina's gonna have its, devoted
Diehards.
captains that go down with the ship, and then we've got Sablezard, which is, as far as Lost Box decks go, Sablezard is like probably the most straightforward as far as like
Single
what to
prize.
do,
Well, yeah, I guess
right?
especially like the Mirage, the like Lost Pile has not. It's not really like a single prize Lost Box deck anymore. With maybe some two prizes that you use sometimes. It's like
Yeah,
it is like a two prize deck now. So I guess like yeah, I mean it feels like Sable's Art is kind of now like the Lost Box deck or like the single prize Lost Box. So it's like single prize versus multi prize. And then yeah, Lost Tina is always going to be around as well on top of that. I think for sure. And I don't
and
even
I
know if
think
we really include Charizard EX Lost Zone as its own. It's just like a Charizard EX deck. It's not really a Lost Zone deck, right?
Lost Tina. Yeah. Charizard EX Lost Zone is like its own deck. It's not a comfy deck.
Yeah.
But I think Lost Pile is kind of like the new cope deck of the format, right? It was Arc Pile, now it's Lost Pile. Like Arc Pile is like all the people are like, "Oh yeah, bro, my matchup against this deck is so good, and this deck is so good, and this deck is so good." But then you look at your list and you're like, "Dang, I've got 20 cards that are just totally dead in like 50% of matchups," you know?
I feel like
Um
it's like thinned out a little. Every attacker is like a one of, so I feel like
Well,
there's
and
not
and the
as
reason I
much
think it
bad
is
stuff.
okay is because you can thin through those cards pretty quickly, right? Like
That's true.
if you're going up
A lot of
against
cards.
not Charizard and you Colress Experiment into Tropius, that is the easiest card to get rid of probably, right?
Yeah, yeah, probably.
120 ain't gonna be you might why would you attack for 120 with 2 energies when you could just Cramor it?
Do you
Like
think we're coping with it, or do you think it's people are coping with it, or do you think it's just like
I think so that I was getting there, right? Like I think
okay,
it's the new kind of cope deck, but it's a lot better than what Arc Piles ever were because it's a little more thin down on the lines, right? And also your method of acceleration, the way you power your attackers up is way better in the Lost Zone deck, Mirage Gate, than it is with Arceus decks attacking, using a
yeah,
turn to power something up. So you can do it instantly with the Lost Zone deck. And then also, like I said, you thin through the stuff you don't need in certain matchups. So I honestly think some Lost Pile deck, I don't know if it's exactly Towards, I don't know if it's exactly Kristen's, something or Christian's, something like that, though, I think seems pretty good, honestly. And if I wanted to play Comfey in my deck this weekend, I would look to one of those as a starting point.
yeah. I think as well. I think I'd maybe go. I don't know. I kind of like Sables. I don't know. I have to play Sables hard to see how good I actually feel like the deck is. To be honest, I guess first, but then yeah, I guess like the one I'm drawn to more is kind of the one of the piles. Pick a pile,
Pick a
and
pile.
yeah, and I guess like the big standout difference is like, do you go with like Tord with the Kyogre? And now I guess like a Tina, it's evolved to being like a Tina build, which is cool. And then I also think, let me see.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kyogre seems good, honestly, like, it's good against Miraidon, it's good against Mew, I mean, not like and we've seen even some decks that have traditionally played Manaphy are cutting Manaphy from their deck, right? Kyogre is probably pretty good against Roaring Moon,
yeah,
pretty good
yeah,
against Urshifu.
yeah, definitely. So like the Kyogre, I think like the biggest one has to be like probably the Miraidon matchup for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's a couple different ways to run it. I'm trying to look for like another list that was out there that I can't quite find. But like Adam Hawkins' list is like closer to what like Tord was playing at Gdansk, but like no Kyogre. It's got Hands, Dragonite, and the Roaring Moon. So yeah, there's just so many different ways that people are playing this deck. That's like the biggest thing. How do you figure out which one of these is best? Or like, yeah, and then there's like
Yeah, or
there
bring
also is
bring
like
your own
the
flavor to it,
yeah,
like,
yeah, and there's also like the
figure it
Brennan
out
build.
yourself.
Brennan's is like Sablezard, but with a moon. But I haven't played with I haven't played with Lost Box in so long. I'm looking at all these Lost Box lists. I was like, I don't even know where I'd start to be honest, personally. I played so much Lost Box last year. I haven't touched it at all this season. I've been pretty underwhelmed by just like the way it looked and kind of its overall performance. But now it's starting to like pick up steam and be pretty good. I mean, Lost Zone Engine is just so powerful. It's like it makes sense that it kind of came back around despite like hands and all that stuff releasing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, probably one of the and I was saying this, what's another thing I said earlier on my stream as well. It's like there's so much power in playing a deck where your opponent has no idea what the heck is going on, which
Of
is what all
course.
these piles do, right? Your opponent flips over a Comfy now, and you're just like, bro, I don't know what I'm playing. Like Christian versus Christian in top four of this tournament, uh, Fontenot turn one got Jirachi and Manaphy against Christian, and Christian can't attack with Greninja and doesn't play Sableye. So it
Yeah.
was like I just saw Comfy and I was like, all right, get the squad. And thankfully it doesn't hurt the bench setup too much. And Christian doesn't play
The
Roxanne or
Sablezard can
Iono.
afford to
So
have those guys on the
yeah,
bench
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure, more than
exactly.
any other Lost Zone deck.
But it was just funny. It was just like immediately the squad, like protect the bench and we're good to go. So played around like everything. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, when your opponent flips over a Comfy, it's like, bro, what am I playing around here? No, you don't know. You
Yeah.
don't know. Could be hands, could be Kyogre, could
It could be
be
Charizard
Sablezard.
EX.
Yeah, could be Charizard EX, could be Sablezard with a Roaring Moon. So that there's a lot of power there, I guess, to just kind of flip over a Comfy. I think the one that gets found out the fastest though is Sablezard. Like you'll more quickly be able to tell, oh, it's just a Sablezard or Tina, especially, I guess. But even
Yeah, they
then,
play a Fog Crystal on their opening turn, you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
got him."
got him. But even then, like Tord played the 1/1 Tina, so it's like they bench a Tina, and you're like, is it lost Tina?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of power in just like flipping over Comfy right now, I think, and just like making your opponent second guess what they should actually be setting up towards. For sure.
Next up is one that remains atop pretty much everyone's tier list. I don't know where you put it necessarily in yours that you did on stream today, but that's Gardevoir. And if we're looking at the results of the last few tournaments, I mean, it was really good at LAIC, dominated LAIC, you could say, even though it didn't win, did really
I think
well.
with Brisbane as well. It did have
And
a
then,
good
yeah,
showing at
yeah,
Brisbane.
it did win Brisbane. There was several in top eight, but then we look at Gdansk, none in top eight. We look here this past weekend in Stuttgart, none in top eight.
Yeah,
And there was
the
good
highest
players
placing
playing
one
it at
was
both.
yeah, and the highest placing player is Brian at 15th, right? So think that's like a fine. That's fine. I'm sure Brian was happy to get top 16, but it's not like a strong showing for the deck. I honestly just think the meta's not that great for Guardy. Like Miraidon's unfavorable. The hands are tough. Lost Zone decks are trying to play hands. Rapid Strike is picking up in popularity. Um,
Hands is
and and
really
then
tough for Gardevoir.
and then there's like all these other decks. Like the Mews are playing double box of disaster, and it's like I think Guardy's still favored against Mew, even if they have double box of disaster. But like you can only take so many percentage point cuts from your opponents just having stuff for you, right? To the point where it's like, okay, I probably shouldn't play this deck anymore, right?
Sure.
And I think currently in the meta, I don't think I would play Gardevoir. Usually it's a deck I'm like, if people like ask me if they should play Gardevoir, I'm like, if you're gonna commit the time to learning how to play Gardevoir and play it well and play it efficiently in best out of three in tournament, and I'm like, okay, sure, you know, you can commit to the Gardevoir, but otherwise you shouldn't play it. But now I just based on meta, I don't think I would recommend Gardevoir to anyone, and that might change before the majors going into next year. But like currently for like San Antonio, I think Gardevoir's just like not looking like a very good play.
Yeah,
Maybe
and then, like,
evolutions.
because of that, stuff that is bad against Gardevoir becomes, like, a better play, right?
Yeah.
Something like
It's Moon's
Charizard.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, Charizard, Moon, stuff like that. Like, yeah, maybe this is time for Moon to take over. To be honest, maybe it is
Moon
now.
doesn't seem too bad, honestly. I would wanna know, how the Charizard matchup goes maybe a little bit more, but and speaking of Charizard, that's the next one we wanna talk about here, was the most popular deck in Gdansk and in Stuttgart. Do you
Moving
think
the
we see that
Zard.
trend continue for San Antonio? And one other thing as well to note when it comes to San Antonio is this is the first tournament of this format for like the vast majority of players, right? Unless you went, they're like 100, one of the 120 something Americans that went to LAIC.
It's
Uh,
120. Oh, LAIC. I thought you were gonna say Stuttgart. I was like,
no,
it's
no, no, to
120 in Stuttgart?
LAIC. This is the first tournament of the format for so many people. And the meta has like evolved a lot since the beginning of the
Yeah.
format. So people are maybe kind of questioning what they should be doing here.
Yeah, so
But
I
yeah, so this
mean,
is going to be, we might see, maybe we will see some more of like the Roaring Moons and stuff like that because people just haven't had a chance to play it yet at a big tournament.
yeah, they haven't had a chance. So then Lost Tina will be more popular because they haven't had a chance to lose with Lost Tina or Roaring
Mm,
Moon yet. So you gotta gotta take your L's before you move on. No, well, yeah, that makes me kind of think like Charizard maybe will be the most popular deck. I think Miraidon and Charizard will be by far
one
the
and
two most
two.
popular decks. See, now I said that last week, but I think that's a pretty good prediction, right? Like 1 and 2, solidly, and then I think you'll have stuff like Gardevoir. Maybe Lost Tina shows up in a little bit bigger numbers,
Yeah,
but you have stuff like Gardevoir and honestly, is there I mean,
Mew.
Lost Zone decks, I guess. Like,
Yeah,
if you put Sablezard and Piles together, they'll be right there with Gardevoir at the 2nd
they
slot.
will
But yeah, I think
probably be grouped together.
yeah, Zard Miraidon, I think, will be the overwhelming majority. Not like overwhelming, but they'll be, like, solidly 1st and 2nd. Like, it'll be, like, 15-15, and then the next 2 decks will be, like, 10-10 or something percentage-wise, something like that. Um, but yeah, I think that seems pretty that is a good thing to point out, and that's something, like, I've tried to, like, think about with my meta predictions a little bit more, is, like, does a region need its own time in the meta to for it to fully evolve. Like it doesn't evolve immediately from where Stuttgart ended. It's like we're still like a week or two behind Stuttgart from where Stuttgart should go as far as the meta. So we have to have our own evolution here in this region, you know? Yeah, because like you said, all these players haven't played in a tournament yet. They've been prepping for the last like 2-3 weeks with their decks, right? So they're not Stuttgart isn't going to have as big of an impact on the meta as it would 2 weeks
Yeah,
from now, right?
yeah.
So yes, yeah, I think that makes sense. Faustina be the most popular deck by far. Um, where's it going next? So yeah, Miraidon. So when we just talked about it, probably gonna be in the top two.
Yep.
And I think it is. I mean, I'm now respecting it as a top deck. Like I said, I thought about its matchup spread earlier today on stream, and I was just like,
Yeah.
you don't lose too much. You can compete with like pretty much everything, even stuff like, and you can
Iron
like
Hands
tech.
gave the deck like an insane boost, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Your
and you can
two
like
worst
tech
matchups,
for
arguably, Gardevoir and Lost Box, they are
yeah,
now just fine.
yeah. One's
If
I
not
think
favorable,
Gardevoir's
like Gardevoir is definitely
yeah,
favorable. Lost Box is probably fifty
closer.
fifty at worst.
I mean, it depends what's in the lost box.
Yeah,
So
of
it depends what
course.
they have. Like,
The
and then
mini
your
or
Mew
super
matchup,
effective glasses seems kind of interesting, right? For the
yeah,
the hands response.
definitely. And then the Mew matchup, you can tech for it if you really want to. Will be now. This will be a good tell, right? Will Mew will the popularity of EU Mew is it EU popularity Mew or is it just general popularity Mew? And will how popular will Mew be actually be at North America? Because it's a good. Both decks are good. Fusion Mew is good. DT Mew is good. I don't rate them super high in the current meta. I think they're all right. Hitting Spiritombs sucks. Hitting Charizards sucks. But besides that, you're good against most other things. I don't actually know how you pair up against some of these Lost Box decks either, right? Like the Sablezard is going to run the Spiritomb probably pretty consistently, or a Drapion, and then all the other ones have moons, right? They all got moons. Like, do we want to be running into all these moons? I don't know.
Yeah. So Mew definitely seems like a question mark. Yeah, DTE versus Fusion as well. It's definitely seems like it's trended more in the DTE realm
I
right
like
now.
DTE way more. I would much rather play DTE than Fusion. Like if I had to pick one to play,
Hammers,
no.
grabbers.
Hammers, what none? No hammers,
Just
no grabbers.
straight Mew.
Just Mew.
Maybe you
I
play
mean,
like
we
a couple Fusion Strike Energy just to slap him on some Genesects against Spiritomb.
maybe Excelgor. I was actually talking about that.
No,
The
bro, come
Excelgor
on. You were
Mew,
clowning the Selgor so
The
hard.
Excelgor Mew build, I think is bad because I think your Guardy matchup is terrible. But if Guardy's not that good of a play, does it come around for the
Dude,
Excelgor? So
Xander came up to us and was like, "Yeah, the Charizard matchup's like 55-45."
I think
Like,
it's better than that though. Actually, after playing the deck, I think it's definitely better than that. I think
okay.
yeah, I think it's better than that. Maybe Handlock Mew has similar no, Handlock Mew, I think with the Excelgor Mew, your favorite. Handlock Mew, I think is unfavored against Charizard, but it's like the second best build against I don't know how Hammer Muse does against Charizard, but I assume your goal is Judge Path. If they get out of Judge Path, you hammer away the energies, and then you Judge
Well,
Path
I
them
think the
again.
hammers were better against
Or
Roaring
even
Moon.
yeah, but there's also your
And then
Charizard
Roaring
tech
Moon's
as
not that
well.
popular anymore, so it's like, do you even yeah, I think the hammers are way less good than they were maybe for, like, LAIC specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it's still good against Charizard. I mean, it's funny because it's like 4 dead cards against Gardevoir, so you're just like you're just,
Well, you can always
uh
play them.
yeah, I get well, no, what if they don't have any energy? They're
Well, then
just
they're not doing anything,
dude,
bro, that's
dude,
fine.
can you imagine you just go first as Mew and you just draw into crushing hammers? They're just dead. There's no way. Dude, imagine if you could even, like, play around your opponent dead drawing because of the crushing hammers. You could be like, "Well, they play crushing hammer. I'm just not gonna attach return. Go ahead." Like, yeah, I literally, like, if you're playing Miraidon against Mew and you go first, just don't attach turn 1 if they're playing crushing hammers.
I
That's
mean,
genius.
I don't know about that.
They brick every time and you win on the
You
next
should
turn,
probably still
100%.
attach.
Nah, they're done, they're done,
Yeah,
they're
don't
cooked.
this is bad advice, I feel
If
like.
you hit a crushing hammer, well, think about it. Just think about it when you're in the moment. It's like, okay, I want to leave them with 4 more dead cards in their
Okay,
deck.
they could flip tails, and then they could path you, and then you need a way to attack on your next turn.
They probably got another one. Mew draws a lot of cards. They got another crushing hammer.
They could flip 2 tails.
No,
So
I'd
there's
rather have
some
them just
percentage point of, like, them not drawing one or
they
drawing
didn't get
only
the
one and flipping
path.
tails.
They didn't get the path because they couldn't draw cards because the crushing hammers were stuck in their
Oh my
hand.
gosh.
I honestly didn't even think about that. When you go first with this deck, you're just like you'd wanna, like, attach an energy for your opponent. If there was ever a card that, like, took an energy from your opponent's hand and put on one of their Pokemon, you'd play that in here just in case.
The acceleration.
Yeah.
It would definitely be better if there was, like, wait and see hammer or something like that in the format, you know?
That's the one right there, the wait and see hammer. Yeah, I'm not super high on Mew. A deck that I am super high on though, like I said, Miraidon, it's top deck, should be respected. But Urshifu, I actually really like Rapid Strike. I think it's really good right now. The TM Devo does a lot for. I don't think your Charger matchup was bad before, but I felt like it was close. But now as a
So,
TM Devo, you're kind of rocking them.
I still think Urshifu does seem good, but I think, like, the best tournament to play it has passed. I think it was, like, the Stuttgart
Well,
weekend.
hold on, but we just talked about it. The meta. Do we think the meta's like we're not going from Stuttgart and then that's where the meta goes. We're still a little bit behind here in North America,
Well,
right?
sure, but, like,
Are we so far behind that Roaring
for the
Moon?
masses, yes, but for the best players, no. The best players are gonna react to Stuttgart, yes?
I mean, are they gonna play Mew? What does Rapid Strike have that bad of a time against?
Yeah, just Mew, I guess, and then, like, if there was techs and stuff like that as well that you could play,
Yeah.
but, like, this gives people a chance. Now, like, it's more on the map, people have ways to figure out, "How do I beat this matchup?" Right?
Sure, sure, sure. But I don't know. Rapid Strike's like a pretty powerful deck into its good matchups or like fine matchups. So I still think it's a pretty good time to be playing it. Like I guess like one of your harder matchups. Honestly, do you have a hard matchup? Well, Miraidon's gotten closer, like I mentioned before, but
Mew and Snorlax.
Mew and Snorlax, yeah, yeah, yeah. But like Snorlax is kind of getting like taken care of.
Roaring Moon.
Yeah, Roaring Moon, gotta look out for those moons. But we already went over that, like, there's no moon, right? There's just no moon, which makes sense. The deck is, like, not that good, but what's what we said, how far behind is North America? I don't think they're far enough behind where Roaring Moon's gonna be in, like, the top 6 most popular decks, right? We're not that far behind. Um, so I think Rapid Strike's lining up pretty well. I mean, you just have to hope that not that many Mews show up, or just play the Spiritomb, and then you can beat the double turbo Mews, and you'll lose to the fusions. But, like, fusion, it's really hard to, like, rationalize playing Fusion Mew when your Charizard matchup is so bad. Like, the DT Mews have ways to win. Like, they have a good strategy. Fusion Mew is just like, you literally have to just hope they brick. Like
Yeah.
like, it's so
6
bad.
words and a basic.
Yeah, so I don't even know. And, like, more Charizard players, I think, understand that going second is correct, so that's, like, another thing as well. You, like, blind pair into a Charizard player as Fusion Mew, and they're gonna be choosing second if they win the coin flip as well. So that goes part of your win percentages just goes away right there. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not Yeah, Fusion Mew's bad for sure, and Double Turbo Mew, like, with the Rapid Strike deck, put the Spiritomb in, you're fine. You know, it doesn't make it like a auto win like some decks do when they include the Spiritomb, but you got a good starting point at least.
Next one is the Snorlax. Is it still worth respecting?
Looking for I don't honestly, I was on the Tech Force Snorlax train before Stuttgart, but post Stuttgart, seeing what people are playing, seeing what we can maybe expect out of decks in general at our tournament coming up. Honestly, I'm kind of shifting away from teching for it because I feel like so many of the decks are just naturally beating it now. all this Lost Zone stuff kinda making a
Yeah,
comeback.
yeah, the Lost Zone being more popular, I think, is kind of the thing there. Gardevoir being less popular potentially. I don't know if Gardevoir will probably be just about as popular as it has been, I guess. But the Charizards, I mean, I think most people, if they have been practicing the last couple weeks with like a Charizard deck that has Turo or Minior, one or both, like they're probably still just going to play that, right? So I think
Yeah,
people are still going to have some techs floating around. It doesn't feel
and there
like
will be some ores still,
I
yeah.
don't think like you should go into this weekend and say like I have to tech for Snorlax, but I don't think you're at a point where it becomes okay. Snorlax, maybe it is at a point actually where Snorlax is just a good play again because of that, though. You know,
I don't know, like, but I feel like the bigger hindrance to Snorlax is
is if the
not.
meta shifts in a way that it,
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
kind of the meta is shifting against it more so than, "Oh, people are overly teching for it." That's my biggest thing
Yeah,
with
but I mean,
control right now.
If Charizard is the most popular deck, you're fine against that if they don't have a tech.
Yeah.
Um, if Miraidon is second most popular, that one, is probably slightly unfavored, but I think you can definitely win, right?
I'm actually
I
not
mean,
sure
if they
about
ever
that. I
start a
mean,
Flappy, they
Snorlax.
just lose on the spot.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, Snorlax players will tell you that they auto win Miraidon, I'm sure, but I think it's probably at, like, 50-50 probably or
yeah.
something like that.
And then
Not a
Mew,
matchup I've
feels like
extensively
pretty
tested.
good matchup as well for Snorlax, right?
Well, not
Urshifu,
Fusion Mew, use
pretty
the
good
Fusion.
matchup for Snorlax.
That's true, the Urshi is also lose to the Tina, lose to the Lost Boxes, lose to
You
the
lose to Roaring
Sablezards,
Moon.
lose to Roy dude, the Roaring Moon, dude, we gotta stop bringing up Roaring Moon.
You're
You
losing to
do
it though.
lose to Roaring Moon.
Well, speaking
Um,
of next deck, Roaring Moon.
4% won't do very well. 11th place. They'll be one in 11th place. They'll be
That's pretty
lose it
good. You say won't do
loses.
very well.
But, like, I don't know, like, but when I say do well as a deck, not like what
Yeah.
like as a player. Like that player did well, one Roaring Moon in the top 128 players, the deck probably did not do so good overall, right? It will lose the winning in though. Roaring Moon 11th place, losing the winning in.
Are we getting like one of these a week from you now? Like a super specific prediction? Who's playing? Jose Morero playing it?
Jose Morero playing Roaring Moon 11th place, losing the winning
Max
in
Rarity Roaring
to
Moon.
losing to a Mew. It'll be tough. The paths just hit a little bit
Ooh,
too hard. Yeah, I know.
the hammers. They've still got the hammers.
Yeah, they still got the ooh, that means we're letting him. Who let the Mew with hammers make top 8, bro? Come on, bro. It was Jose, bro. What are you doing, bro? Like, come on. All right, all right. Hammer Mew in top 8, beating Jose on the winning end.
All right, what about Entei Iron Valiant? That's one we haven't talked about yet today. It didn't do super good in Stuttgart. There was a couple of them in day two,
Yeah.
5 of them to be exact. Yeah, didn't do the best.
Yeah, so I played a lot with this deck up this point. It's one of those decks that I go back to, and I'm just like, I keep trying to make it work better and better. And I do like where the way my list is headed. But I just don't think the deck's that good. I think the deck is just not that powerful. And I don't actually even think there's a meta where it becomes powerful enough because I don't think your Charizard matchup is great. I don't think your Gardevoir matchup is that good either.
Dude,
I
it
think they're
got
like fine.
dunked on in Stuttgart, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's like fine against both those decks. Your
One person
Miraidon
got top
matchup,
64, everyone else is outside of top 64 that
yeah,
was in day 2 of the deck.
I'm not sure if your Miraidon matchup is good or bad, but it's like fine. But like you don't have any like ridiculously good matchups. Yeah, I just don't think the deck's that good to be honest. It's just like a gimmick cheese deck. It's fine. But yeah, not great. I don't expect it to do very well overall.
And one that has fallen off the map basically completely. Wow, there's really 0 in
Is
day 2.
0.
Where's Chien Pao, man?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, it's gotta be the Miraidon. I think that's the biggest thing, like, 'cause I think your Charizard matchup is good,
Yeah.
Gardevoir matchup is fine, Lost Tina matchup is good. The Miraidon matchup is the tough one. The Miraidon is tough. That's tough for the Chien-Pao, and it's second most popular deck. It's hard to want to take a rough matchup against the second most popular deck. And that's kinda one of my predictors was, like, Miraidon wasn't gonna be thriving the way it is, so that kinda would make Chien-Pao, like, a fine play moving forward, but yeah, Miraidon's kinda thriving for sure, and, it makes it tough for Champ Out. 0% is kind of crazy, but there was only 4% of it total being played at the tournament, so it wasn't like a super highly played deck. I think it was 4%. I'm actually not, maybe it was 3.5, something like that. You can actually check it. We could check it on see
Yeah,
what
just
stats
again,
says.
this is only data reported on PokeStats, so not
Yeah, 4%, and then
everything.
0% in day 2. Um, yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see 0 though. 2 tournaments in
Yeah,
a row, 'cause I think it was the same thing at Gdansk, was 0. Um,
yeah, I'll double check
oh
real
no, we
quick.
got 1. Maybe it was Brisbane 0.
1 in Gdansk, yeah. That is crazy. I mean,
Oh, we got 1 in Brisbane too. Yo, where was the one in Stuttgart, bro? Come on. Give us
Someone's
one.
gotta hold it down for the Chien Pao gang.
Alright. How many GM power are gonna be in day 2 of San Antonio?
Definitely
Impromptu
more than
prediction.
0.
Alright, give me a number, though.
3.
Okay. I'm gonna go with
I
5.
don't know, dude. There's gonna be freaking 200 people in day 2, so
I'm gonna go with 5.
that's another thing. This day 2 is gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be big.
You're
It's gonna
gonna
be a
need
big
to
game.
go to get top 8, you're gonna have to get 36 match points, like, for sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
That's like
bro.
another reason to maybe not play Gardevoir, right?
Yeah,
The potential of
and
the
the
ties are
ties are
just
terrible, yep.
higher, right? And that's maybe on average, that's maybe what holds back Gardevoir's placements in general. But we see it like kind of dominate sometimes. Like Brisbane, there was 3 in top 8, so it's not a huge deal, I would say overall.
Well,
But
good luck,
like
everyone. Hope
another
you can
thing.
go 12 and 3 or better.
Yeah, jeez, man. Actually, to be honest, that doesn't sound that bad. Going
It
12 and 3
doesn't.
doesn't sound that bad. But like a tie gets in there once, and you're just like, dude, like then it starts like getting annoying.
12-2-1.
Um, yeah, it just sounds way worse than 12 and 3, a clean
You have
record,
to
no
win 12
ties.
games. Usually, you could win 11 games and, like, have some ties, right? You're gonna have to get
Yeah.
12 match wins probably.
When is the point? Well, at some point they have to give us something more. At what point do you think that is? Like another round, top cut, top 16, something. At what point? How many players do you think we need to get to the point where they give us something?
I don't know, man.
3,000?
I just think we should cut the top 16. I think if we had the
Yeah,
current system and it cut the top 16, it would be just fine.
I'd be fine with that. That's my personal fix as well, is to cut to top 16. That'd be my
Because
personal fix.
yeah, I don't
You'd
know.
initially have those complainers about the first couple events. It's like they end up with like second seed or something, and
I
they're
do
like,
think that tournament length is a potential concern here as well.
that's why I think top 16 is probably the best solution because it's just 16 players get plus one round,
Yeah, but you're
not
talking about
everyone.
adding and
It
you're
is
talking about
75
adding
minutes.
90 minutes to the tournament pretty much.
Yeah,
75
true.
minutes for the tournament plus a few minutes of turnaround time between
Maybe it should
top
just
16,
be an
top 8.
extra round for everyone in day 2, maybe.
But yeah, then you're talking about adding,
Well,
70
something has to get
minutes.
added eventually, or it's gonna be only the people who go 15-0 get top 8, which is I think is a little bit absurd, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's talking about like a 10,000 plus person tournament, right?
Yeah, I guess. Maybe we're a little bit away from that. Maybe it's not that bad yet. We'll get there eventually where it's like you gotta go like 14-1 or
Someone
something.
will do it, right? I mean,
Well,
that many
someone
people
has
will do
to.
it.
Well, yeah, I mean, someone will do it, but it feels like I don't know. I will like. I feel like there'll be a lack of consistency of top performers at that point because I feel like being able to take an L or two in like a trading card game, I think is like reasonable for the RNG level in the game. You know.
Yeah.
Um.
All right. One more deck to talk about, and then we'll do our predictions. And that is, I think, whenever this deck has been written as a complete meme deck, and then you see 4 of them in day 2 of this tournament, and it did okay at these other tournaments as well. Cloth Electrode Azul. Is this better than just a meme?
um no. No. Like I think Roaring Moon could have a meta where Roaring Moon is good. I don't think Cloth will ever hit a meta where it's like it's time. I think Roaring Moon could have a
What are the
it's
2 most
time
popular
meta.
decks?
The what?
What are the 2 most popular decks right
Charizard and
now?
Miraidon. True. Also,
Charizard and
Guardy's a bad
Miraidon.
matchup, but if Guardy's not that good of a play, we just lose to Rapid Strike and probably Losso and stuff, but we'll make it work. Honestly, to be honest, when you think about how it pairs up against a lot of the decks in the four, I think its consistency is probably its main issue.
Yeah.
Not so much its theoretical matchups. But of course, dead drawing is part of your win percentage. Don't forget that. So, or just drawing poorly, I guess, not getting your combo set up. So yeah, I don't know. I think the deck is a meme, and I don't think it's a deck where it's like I think there could be a meta where it's like it's Roaring Moon's time. I don't think that meta can exist for Cloth Electrode. I don't think it'll exist for. I think it could theoretically, but I don't think it will.
Yeah.
But you did say it. If we're looking at potentially 30% of the tournament being Miraidon
And
and
Charizard.
Charizard, honestly, I don't even know. Does Charizard have a bad matchup into this? Like Electrode one hit KOs you, but you one hit KO Electrode. So like, is it that bad? I actually don't know. Maybe. I couldn't tell you to be honest because I haven't really played with Cloth Electrode.
You haven't
I
put the
played with
time in.
Cloth. I played with Cloth. Straight Cloth is kind of cool, but
What place did this person get? 45th.
what are you doing? You checking
I'm
there?
checking matchups. Oh,
You lost to
dude, this guy
Charizard.
started so good and lost 3 in a row.
No, dude, they were about to make it happen.
Oh, man.
Mew matchup's tough. They didn't have a tech for Mew though, did they? Did they have Drapion in there or something? No. Yeah, the Mew's tough as well. If you rock a
But that's
Drapion,
fixable.
Yeah, Drapion, Spiritomb. Lost to the Charizard after that, and then Lost Tina's gotta be a terrible matchup, right? Can't wait
Probably.
wanna KO Tina
A
V-Star.
lot of question marks here. Let's look at one of the other ones.
You trying to get the cloth data?
We're breaking down the cloth data. This is important stuff.
Oh, they
Okay.
beat a Lost Tina.
Farm some Maridons, you
Okay,
know?
classic, classic. Ty
Juho got a
Juho?
tie out of it. I wonder if
Is
that's
that
oh, that has to be around 9 ID.
no
That has to be
way,
a situation of
bro.
Yuho's playing the Maridon. The opponent
Yeah.
flips over a cloth, and Yuho's like, "You want the ID?" And Alessandra's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll make day 2."
Dude, you beat Juho there, bro. You beat the Mirage. Take him out. Take him out. You know what he's playing. You can
I'm
go get his
assuming
60
that's
off
the
Limitless.
situation, by the way, but that
That
not
is generally how it plays
that
out
is
like
how
that in the
that's what
Smash
happens a
situation.
lot.
Yeah, that happens a lot, yeah. Next time, take him out. Take him out. Going 7-2 with the cloth, you're feeling good. That's a top 8 right there. We're locked in. We're locked in. You steal all of Juho's powers that he just gathered from winning at IC, apply them to the cloth, that's a dub.
All right, well, let's do some predictions here. Azul, based on the things we've talked about today, will a Gardevoir make it to top 8 of this tournament? There's been none in top 8 of the last 2 European tournaments. It did win in Brisbane. It dominated LAIC. It's still going to be like third, fourth most popular deck. Is it going to make top 8?
I'm gonna go with no, but like I'm not gonna be surprised if it does. A lot of good players are gonna still play it. Still a very good deck, but I'm going with no because like yeah, my predictions around the meta is not great right now. So gotta like trust your instincts on. I mean, trust my instincts on this one and go with no.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's not a great play, I think, right now, but it's still going to make top 8 because enough people are going to play it. I think, you know,
I don't know.
in the last format before this one, like there was a lot of like Lost Box, diehards, like people who are
Yeah,
committed to
yeah,
the Lost Box. They were always going to play Lost Box. They might change a few things to make it better for what they thought the meta was going to be, but Lost Box was going to be what they were playing. I think Gardevoir is that deck for a lot of people right now. They are committed to the Gardevoir.
yeah.
That's the
Through
deck
thick
they
and thin.
play. They're locked in. The meta might not be as good for it, but it's still a strong deck. They've got the copium of, they come from behind strats to win.
I mean, it's a deck that feels so good to play, right? You have so many options, so many outs. You can always win every game, and then you blink and then you tie instead. But you do have it does feel that way. It does feel like whenever I pick up Gardevoir and play it, it feels like one of the most enjoyable decks to play because you have so much stuff you can do. Maybe that's how James Cox can stream that exclusively that Guard for like 6 hours or whatever. Just like because it is
6
probably
days a
one of
week.
the yeah, 6 days a week. Because it is like one of the most enjoyable decks to play, right? Especially as someone who is like a little bit better of a player, a little bit more
It gives
seasoned
you a
player.
great chance to express, to
Skill
outplay
expression.
your
Yeah, yeah,
opponent, right?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah,
Even
yeah.
though you don't
So,
think outplaying exists.
well, yeah. You have a chance to make a comeback. You have chances for your opponent to make mistakes. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm gonna categorize my opponent making a mistake as me outplaying them, but they definitely messed up, that's for sure.
Did you play better than them?
That's not what outplaying is.
Then what is it?
That playing better than them is playing better than them. Or your opponent making a mistake. Outplaying is like I don't know. I feel like there has to be like a physical exchange. Like that's why like in sports you can outplay someone because there's like the physical aspect of it and the mental aspect of it, right?
But is it really outplaying them if you're just like
Well,
stronger
yeah,
than
because
them?
it's like I don't know if you're gonna go left or you're gonna go right and someone's trying to block you, it's like well if
It's
they
okay. We
think
don't need to have this argument right now. We've had it
all
before.
right.
It's okay.
Next prediction, what will be the sixth most popular deck in
Yeah,
day
so we
one?
usually do a prediction like this and try to predict what the most popular deck is going to be, but thought it would be kind of funny to like on the stream graphic that they put up there, try to predict what is the sixth most popular deck going to be. So like, because I think like if we're predicting the most popular deck, one of us is going to pick Charizard, the other is going to pick Miraidon, and it's just going to be one of those two, right?
Well, I picked guard
Sixth
for and
though,
then
sixth place specifically, there's some division here potentially.
yeah, I know what I'm gonna pick, so I'll let you go first.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Mew.
Okay, I mean, that's a pretty safe one. That is one of the ones that it's like I think in that realm of potentially. I'm gonna go with Rapid Strike though, because we're
Ooh,
not in
that would be
Europe.
crazy if
We're not in
Urshifu's
Europe
that popular.
anymore. Would this be the first time it's made it onto the graphic, or has it made it there before?
At least in like this format, like probably back in like 2022, whenever it was like, a different deck, right? EUIC last year, 2
Oh
years
yeah,
ago, I
yeah,
guess.
makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Rapid Strike. It's got to be super close. So to being on the graphic.
This will probably be the most played. I bet like this will be the most played that Rapid Strike Intellion Urshifu has been ever. Will be this tournament, like
Yep.
meta share percentage wise.
I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. It's also probably maybe the strongest it's ever. No, there's been some moments where it's been pretty strong before in the past, but this is
Yeah,
this is
but it
up
just
there for
still
sure.
wasn't that played.
Yeah. All right.
And then last one, this is the deck right now, Azul. It beats the most popular 2 decks. What is the highest placing Cloth Electrode gonna be at this tournament?
You know what? If the Cloth Electrode player had played it out against Juho, I would have gone with the top 16. But because they didn't, um, the Cloth Electrode is lacking power right now. So I'm gonna go with a top 64. Gonna
Top
be
64?
top 64 for the
Docking it
Cloth,
oh,
bro.
man, absolutely no respect. Absolutely no respect. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do something crazy here. Absolutely
No shot.
crazy.
I'll take it. You
Cloth
should do
Electrode, this is for the people, in top 8 of
it.
San Antonio regionals. Just wait, bro. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be glorious. Electrodes are gonna become $20 a piece. Go ahead and buy them now.
Chip literally invested in electrodes before this. Now predicting
Market
the top 8.
manipulation.
Yeah, trying to coax people into playing electrode, bro. What the heck?
Well, and that's it for our predictions. That's it for all the decks. Azul, is there anything we didn't cover that you want to make sure we mention? Any or what would be one last parting word of advice to the players in San Antonio this weekend? How about that?
Get some sleep.
That's what you got. Get some sleep,
Get some sleep. Probably
eat some
uh
food, drink some water, right?
some food drink. Probably don't play Gardevoir.
Okay, there you go.
That's it. I'm out. That's it I got.
Well, thanks so much to everyone as always for listening and supporting us here at the Uncommon Energy podcast. If you did enjoy, please be sure to leave us a rating wherever you are listening, or if you're watching here on YouTube, drop a like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. We did pass 7,000 subs on the YouTube channel recently, so appreciate everyone showing their support over here. And yeah, if you want to stay up to date and connected with us, the best place to do that is over on Twitter. You can follow myself at Chip Ritchie. Azul is at Azul_GG. What are you smiling at?
Nothing, nothing.
Okay. And you can follow the podcast at Uncommon_Energy. Thanks so much for the continued support. And when we get to the bonus episode, we'll find out what Azul was smiling about.
Yeah, appreciate the support as always. Uh Good luck to anyone going to San Antonio. And if you bump into me or I'm sure Chip as well and want to say what's up, take a picture, whatever. I'm always down. Chip's usually down. A little he can be
I
a
am
little
also always down.
he can be a little grumpy sometimes though.
Well,
And
I will say sometimes I'm like running to like get backstage or something like that.
yeah.
I've had to say no a time or two, but not because I don't want to take a picture or say hello.
Yeah, we'll catch y'all next Wednesday at 7 a.m. Eastern.